I started writing music about 10 or 20 years ago. I don't write a lot, but usually in response to something I'm feeling or something that I'm thinking about, you know, either a visual or a theme, or sometimes it's a musical motive that presents itself. So just responding to the moment. I don't discipline myself to write, but if something comes up, then it happens. The influences I have are frequently players. I love Keith Jarrett, all the greats, Herbie, Bill Evans, going back to when I first started listening to trio music. I like horn players. I'm also informed by some of the other types of music that I play. I play in a symphony orchestra, the Harrisburg Symphony, and just sitting in that middle of that group and playing piano parts, just hearing the different instruments really gives me a lot to go on, idea-wise. Well, I actually started out as a trumpet player and played in my junior high school jazz band. I really enjoyed that, but piano jazz didn't come until a little bit later. I played some musical theater and some pop. Came to piano kind of late for I was not a child prodigy in any way whatsoever, but I continued to develop. Piano gradually overshadowed trumpet, and I pursued it more seriously in high school, got my classical training in college, and just always did jazz on the side. I had lessons with Gerald Price, with Ron Thomas, local folks, but really my jazz experience was outside of the academy, and I think that's probably the way it should be. So the tune Tunnel that's in the Philadelphia Reel Book came to me. We were going through the Lehigh Valley Tunnel, heading up to a musical festival that we play every year up in the Poconos, and there's a slight feeling of paranoia when you go through these tunnels, and the bass line kind of presented itself first, and it was in 7. And once we got up to the festival where we were staying, we had this beautiful fishing cabin on a pond, and it was really a conducive place to write. And so the rest of it came to me there. I had the bass line in the car, and then the melody came to me, and it just came from there. In Tunnel, there are 2 main sections, the 7/4 with the bass, driving bass line and the tune on top of that. And then there's the 4/4 kind of straight ahead section. So I deliberately left it open-ended. In the Reel Book, it doesn't say, play A, B, B, A, or anything like that. So players could do what they want with it. We choose to play a blues, a minor blues over in the solo section, but you could also keep the form involved somehow and do it that way. You can also just take the bass line from the A section and have people solo over that. That's if you feel like soloing in 7. And we like to do that with the drum soloing over that section, so we'll do that tonight. The musicians we have here tonight, my husband on bass, obviously. We know each other quite well. We've been married for 30 years, and we're presenting a couple of his tunes this evening. And John Swana, who is so versatile and just sounds great on any instrument he plays. We have a long history, and Byron Landham, of course, one of Philly's best drummers, and we love playing with him. He was on, all of these gentlemen were on the recording of Zingaro, which Tunnel is on, so I'm really excited to be working with them. So I actually had a classical teacher and a friend of mine. We both studied with the same classical teacher. His name was Ben Witten, and Mark Valenti studied with him as well. He was at University of the Arts, I was at Westchester. So he started showing me some things, voicings and just the mechanics of the music, and I started listening a lot. I already had been listening, but he helped unlock a little bit of it, especially coming from classical music. He knew the vocabulary to use to translate it into those terms. Gerald Price was another mentor for a brief time. He would just show me stuff and say, "Now do that," and that you can't beat that. And Ron Thomas, I worked with briefly. He was a guy coming from a really interesting background, Bill Evans, and also the classical composition. And then jam sessions. Just recently one that ended at La Rose, Rob Henderson. There's a new one at Heritage happening on Thursdays, and it's so fun to go out there and hear the next generation, 10 or 20 kids from all the local schools coming out to play. And so I think Philly's always been a really strong city for that, you know, nurturing jam sessions. And I think there's a distinctive Philly sound as well that you don't really see until you go other places and they go, oh, everybody doesn't do it this way, you know, so.